Hi folks, my name's Dane Cobain, and today I'm going to take you through this, which is the presentation from our second writers workshop at Arts4Every1 in High Wycombe. Just to kick things off, I'll talk about what we talked about in the session. So we had our typical meet and greet, and then we had a look at an introduction to social networking. So in our last workshop, we talked about content marketing, the importance of setting up a website, and we're building on that today, talking about social networking so you can get the word out about that website. And we've also got some writing activities, editing workshops, and we welcomed guest speaker JG Clay as well. So just to kick things off a little bit about me, my name's Dane Cobain. I'm a social media marketer. I'm also an author. I write music, poetry, fiction, non-fiction, PowerPoint slides. I've also written a book called No Rest for the Wicked, which is available now if you have a look on Amazon. And I'm just a general sort of art centre volunteer, I guess. So, an introduction to social networking. So, like I said, last time we talked about content marketing, which centres around creating a website and then driving traffic to it. Social networking is a good way to do that. It also shows people that you're, still active. And social networking can be a great way to share things if you're just trying to reach just your family and friends. So why social networking? Well, you can reach a new audience through shares. So if people share your stuff with their friends, you reach new people. You can connect with your readers in real time. They can let you know what they think of your work. You can ask for advice from other writers. So, most writers are using social networking and you can hook up with them. So like I said, you could network with them effectively. You can show that you're active. And you connect with brands as well, which can be particularly useful, if you're working with a brand, or, for example, if you're setting up an event here, you can, interact with Arts4Every1 as a brand, and they can help get the word out. So, the most common goals of social networking tend to be either sales, customer service, branding, where you can see them on screen, advertising, research, QA, which is quality assurance, and competitor analysis. So, in terms of as a writer, how does that affect you? Well, sales, obviously, sales of your book. Customer service, things like perhaps somebody's noticed a problem in one of your books, there's a mistake in it, or someone wants to know where to get your book from, or when your next release is going to be out. Branding, it's you as a writer are a brand. You need to get the brand of you out there. Advertising, so if you want to, you can run paid adverts. Research, so obviously you can see what people are saying, how people are talking, what they think about certain things. You can ask people for their feedback or for their advice. If you can reach out to experts. When it comes to QA, again, that's things like people noticing that there's problems with layout, or something wrong with the physical output that you've got. And then competitor analysis, obviously you can see what other writers are doing as well. So I've put up here, there are literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of social networking sites, and we just don't have that long to go through them all. So today we're going to look at what I consider sort of to be the most important and most relevant ones to different kinds of writers. So we'll start off with Facebook. It's the world's biggest social network. So we're gonna dedicate a bit more time to it than any of the others, just because it's the most popular. So on Facebook, images and videos tend to do really well. They're quite eye-catching in the news feed, so if you can, post those, that's going to help you to get the word out. Quality over quantity. So there's something called EdgeRank, and it's Facebook's algorithm, effectively, which is what it decides what news stories you're going to see. So the way that works effectively, they focus on, again, on the users. So if somebody's liked one of your posts in the past, they're more likely to see a future one. So posting, poor quality updates that no one interacts with is actually going to make it less likely that your future ones are going to do well. So there are two main ways really to reach more people on Facebook, and the first is to pay to use advertisements, and the second is just to post better updates. So we're going to look at a few of the different aspects of Facebook, because some people sort of get confused about what to use for what activity. So a profile is what you're probably most useful, and that's the thing you log into, use to post your updates. You can, only profiles can add someone as a friend. So that's how you can tell whether you're using it or not. They're great for networking with other people, because you can, reach out to people, you can comment on their updates, you can stay connected. But don't use your profile to promote your work. There are limitations to using a profile. You can't have more than 5,000 friends. So if you do want to become the next, bestseller, a profile isn't going to be big enough. They can't run adverts as well, and you can look like a massive idiot if you do spend all of your time promoting your books. A page, meanwhile, so a page is a public-facing business page that anyone can create. They're the best option for marketing purposes because they're not limited to 5,000 followers. You won't get banned. You might get banned if you try and do it from a profile. And so a page is the best way to share the writing, and then the profile is to sort of make friends with other writers. Pages have extra functionality as well that profiles don't have. So pages can run adverts, they get analytics so you can see what's working. And it also stops people that you don't know from adding you, so they'll like your page rather than being your friend. So every writer really ought to have a page and a profile. Then there are groups. So groups effectively allow different Facebook users to discuss a common topic. So you wouldn't create a group for your own writing, but you might join a group of like-minded writers and share your work there. So, for example, there's a Words4Every1 Facebook group. There's also an Arts4Every1 Facebook group as well. And so if you've not joined those, go ahead and join them. And they're a great place to sort of share your writing and see what's happening, really. And so the plan for those is, again, you can share your work with the other attendees between sessions. So onto Twitter, meanwhile. So Twitter's really good for just real-time communication. It's easier to use than you might think. It's a great way to interact with brands, as we've discussed already, really. And it's kind of more public than Facebook, which is good because it makes it easier for people to discover stuff, but also it makes it easier for you to see what other people are saying. So unless you don't want people to read your writing, you ought to be on Twitter, really. One pro tip as well, mention people when possible, which is, that'll get their attention because they'll get a notification, but don't do it at the start of a tweet. The reason for that being, if you post, if the @ symbol is at the start of the tweet, then it'll be treated as a reply, and so most of your followers won't see it. Also, use hashtags when you can. They're a great way to get people to pick up on your stuff. Okay, so hashtags, we all pretty much know what hashtags are now. They're kind of part of popular culture, but effectively they're words with a hash symbol in front of them. And what they do is allow similar posts to be grouped together. So any post that includes the word writing as a hashtag, for example, allows people to find that by searching for that hashtag. So by doing that, you can make sure your tweets are more likely to be seen by using, relevant hashtags. So writing, for example, is likely to be, searched for by people who are interested in writing. But don't use really long hashtags, which are, multiple words all jammed together, because chances are no one's ever going to search for a really long hashtag. Then, they're not going to have thought of it. Good hashtags to use, so journo request, that's used by journalists who are looking for news stories, which can be a good way to get your work out to people. There's hashtag I'm writing, so you can let people know what you're writing and post updates about that. I'm reading is similar, so tell people what books you're reading. You can use the genre as well, put a hashtag in front of that. And it's also good for location-specific stuff, so hashtag Wycombe or hashtag books, for example, will be good for targeting people in the local area. Twitter dashboards. Now, these are programs that basically allow you to log in with multiple accounts at the same time. And there are a couple of examples up there, Hootsuite and TweetDeck. I personally use TweetDeck. Another thing that they do is you can set up real-time searches, so of hashtags, for example, or for certain search terms like need freelance writer. And basically what will happen is every time somebody posts a tweet that matches this criteria, it'll pop up in your dashboard. So these are usually free to use, and it just makes your use of Twitter a lot more targeted, I suppose, and a lot more efficient. When it comes to LinkedIn, so LinkedIn is considered to be the kind of the professional social network, and really, you probably don't need to be active on LinkedIn unless you're either a semi-professional or professional writer, so if you're doing freelance work, for example. And actually, it can be a good way to pick up some freelance work, because there's lots of people using it for business purposes. It can be a really great way of networking. 2 new members join LinkedIn every second, so obviously it's growing at a really quick rate, and it's becoming more and more of a sort of a media and content website. So in contrast to, say, Facebook, where all of the content, I suppose, is sort of short form updates and whatnot, they're focusing on something called LinkedIn Pulse, which we'll talk more about in a minute. LinkedIn also has groups similarly to Facebook. So some tips and tricks for LinkedIn. So you want to use a high quality headshot. Black and white or colour both work, but just, try and make sure you look smart and you're against a plain background. Think about getting endorsements and recommendations. Leave them as well. So endorsements, basically, they're a list of skills on someone's profile and you can say, yes, they're good at that. Whereas recommendations are more like a written testimonial. And again, a good way to get either of these is to leave them for other people. Consider LinkedIn Premium as well, so that's the paid version of LinkedIn. There are lots of different advantages to that depending on what you're doing. So there's one for job seekers, for example. There's another one for networkers. You can also embed presentations from SlideShare onto your profile. So what you could do is perhaps do a writing sample, or, I mean, for myself, I could embed this into my LinkedIn, for example. And also you can publish articles, so I'd recommend doing that if it's something that you want to spend some time with. Make sure they're unique articles though, so don't just copy and paste something from somewhere else. And try to get featured in LinkedIn Pulse, which is effectively their highlights of the best user-generated content. Just a quick guide as well towards making connections. So when you find somebody on LinkedIn and you can send them a connection request, just always make sure you customize the message. So don't just go with the default message. Remind them where you met them, perhaps what you talked about, and just reword it slightly just to make it a bit more personal. So YouTube is obviously for video, and you can make video easily enough on a smartphone. I mean, I've made this video, the audio is from an iPhone, and then I just use screen capture software. Always make sure you keep it landscape though, rather than portrait. So you want the video to look good on a wide screen. Think about the audio quality and the lighting, because that's often more important than the actual quality of the video's resolution. Bear in mind, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and that's behind Google, who own it as well. So, and video results are featured prominently in most search engine results. So on Google and Bing and all those, you'll see video up near the top. And video is great for writers who are doing readings, for example. And you can also create kind of book trailers. YouTube allows you to make a channel trailer where you basically tell people why they should, stick around, what to expect. So tips and tricks for YouTube. We've got playlists, so you can group similar videos together in a playlist. The main advantage to doing that is that if somebody's watching those videos, it will automatically play the next video in the series. So instead of them navigating away, you're kind of securing more views from them. Annotations, those are clickable overlays that go on top of the videos, and you can link them, so you can encourage people to subscribe to your channel to view new videos, or you can link to another video, for example. Custom thumbnails, so you can upload those yourself instead of just taking one of the 3 automatically generated ones that YouTube offers. So if you create custom thumbnails, you can make it more eye-catching, more people click on it in the search results. Make sure you fill out your video description, so say what the video is about. Also link people to the website, to Facebook pages, Twitter, all of this stuff. Make sure you're always interlink. Optimize your title as well, so think about what people might search for to find that video. So include as much detail as you can, really. If it's live, say that it's live, for example. And think about doing collaborations, which are when different YouTubers work together to make videos together, and it can be a really great way of combining audiences and reaching more people. So now we're on to Instagram. So that's a photo-based social network, and it's particularly popular amongst younger people. But having said that, it's growing with all age groups as well, and it's actually becoming one of the major social networks. So it's great for images. You can also share videos of up to 15 seconds, and you can use hashtags on it as well, which obviously you can use on Twitter. And the whole concept's the same, really. The more hashtags that you use, the more likes you tend to get, and again, you can make your own if you want to. And Instagram's a great way to make really good looking photos with kind of no ability as a cameraman whatsoever. And you can take photos at events as well, like at the Writers Group. That's a good way to get some content. So tips and tricks involve your readers. So the Gallery of the Wicked is something that I did for my book, No Rest for the Wicked. So I asked people to send in photos of them holding it, and I created a gallery out of that. Some good hashtags for Instagram. We've got I'm reading, I'm editing again. Books is a good one. You can also link it to your Twitter and Facebook profile, so that when you post to Instagram, it goes to both of those as well. You can tag other users, which is going to obviously get their attention. And you could even get your best photos printed as well. There are a lot of services that will do that. Goodreads is one of the big ones for writers, because it's essentially the Facebook for books, and it allows you to log all of the books that you've been reading and to give them ratings. So if you do that as an author, it gives your readers an insight into your reading habits, which obviously they're going to be interested in because they're interested in what you write. It will also suggest books that you might be interested in, which can be a great way to find new material to read. And as it's a book site, they're very keen to offer support to writers. So you can have a page as a writer as well, for example. So tips and tricks, obviously, as I said, have a page for your books and your writing, and you can have a profile as well as a reader. You can run book giveaways. Obviously, update your profile as and when you're reading books. You can even, if you want to, you can say, I'm on page 320, for example. Make it clear in your profile copy that you're a writer as well as a reader, because otherwise people might not realise. And review other writers' books, but do it honestly. You know, never slate something that you secretly think is good because you're jealous of it, and vice versa. Don't say something's good just because a friend wrote it. Pinterest. So Pinterest is like a virtual pin board, and it's particularly popular with women. So estimates say up to 97% of users are women, which I don't believe. The lowest estimate I've seen was about 55% are women, which sounds more right to me. You can use it to collect images from across the web, and basically it will house them all for you. And basically you can post a mixture of third-party stuff, so things that other people have made, and your own imagery as well. And the best thing is it all links back to a website as well. So it's a great way to drive traffic and sales, particularly if you've got a lot of different products for sale, which as a writer, I'm not sure why you would, but you know. And it's really easy to use as well. So tips and tricks, install the pin it button, which just goes on your browser, and it allows you just with one click, it will fetch all of the images on that page and let you choose which one you want to post. Consider changing the web address that your pins point to as well, so you can actually go in and edit it, which can be great if you pin something from your home page, for example, and it's your book cover, and you might want to link that straight to the book on Amazon. Use boards to showcase your personality as well. So basically your boards are your different themes, your different collections of pins. So a few that I've suggested here are, you could do book covers I love, obviously include your own cover, book quotes, awesome reading spaces, you know, libraries and that kind of thing, books I want, so it's almost a shopping list for you, badass authors, and cool illustrations as well. Those are all kind of different things you could think of doing. So now we're on to SoundCloud. So SoundCloud is effectively the YouTube of sound, and it's really good for musicians and for spoken word artists as well. So, you know, obviously all you need to do is upload a sound file. You don't have to worry about the video. A paid option's also available if you're doing lots of stuff. So maybe if you're doing a podcast or something like that. And it allows you to follow people and be followed like most other social networks do. So I mentioned podcast. I mean, a tip or a trick, whatever you'd like to call it, is to create a podcast. And I know quite a few writers are doing this, and it can be a really good way to reach readers. You can also embed SoundCloud tracks into blog posts, just like a YouTube video. Some people even do audio versions of their blog posts. So, I mean, it's a bit niche, but perhaps if you're writing for the blind, for example, it can be a nice way to make the website more user-friendly. Leave timestamp comments on videos, on sounds as well. So you can say at 2 minutes 20, oh, I really, you know, agree with what you're saying there. So it allows you to be more specific with the part that you're talking about. You can create playlists as well, and always add an album cover, which is effectively just an image to represent your files, as well as tags and a description, just for the usual kind of search optimization reasons. So that's that for that. We then had a challenge with some found writing, which you can read up here. But effectively, we'd scattered some books across the tables, and people picked up sort of 1 to 3 books, had a flick through them, kind of got to know the books almost, took a few notes down, and then used that to then write their own short piece as well. Then we had our editing workshops. There's a siren outside, don't worry about that. And then we heard from J.G. Clay, who was our guest speaker. So he's a horror author. He's written a book called Tales of Blood and Sulphur. And he took us through his writing journey and some of his little pieces of inspiration as well, I suppose, or the stories behind the stories. So I've got the slides up here, but I'm not going to dwell on them too much because I don't want to steal his thunder and deliver his presentation for him. And also, I'd really encourage you to come along and to check out some of the guest speakers that we've got. So that was that for that. We then set a little bit of homework. So we asked people to create a Facebook page and a Twitter account if they didn't have one already, to commit to regularly posting to them. You know, you can preset posts if needed, to sign up to one of the other niche websites we talked about as well, and to experiment with video blogging using a smartphone. And we also set up the Words4Every1 Facebook group. Then we had our readings, announced our next workshop, which was Sakib Desmukh, I can't say his name, And that was it. So thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We'll be filming and uploading more of these workshop presentations soon. And we'll see you then. Bye.